Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Stanisci of NLL Lacrosse Talk. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 249 and 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also in all 2016 TVs forward. Now on NLL Lacrosse Talk, our co-host, of course, Gary Groob, and our very special guest, Michael Cooper, former owner, former coach, former player, all in lacrosse. If there's more to know, we'll find out. Gary and I we'll grill him right now, Mike. That's what we're going to do. We're going to grill you, buddy.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time out to join us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Okay, the first question is always the same question, and that is, how did you find yourself in lacrosse? What made you pick up a stick?
Actually, my older cousin, who's like a brother to me, gave me a stick. I think I was 14 years old. Gave me a ball that was not a lacrosse ball, but it was something of the sort. I was going through a little bit of a dark time. My mother was passing away. So I ended up going to my backyard. We had a nice big cement wall back there and started banging the ball off the wall, and the rest from there is history. It was just kind of my saving grace to what I was going through, my escape, and a little bit older now. It was quite a time ago, but it kept with me, and it's always been my saving grace, and it's always been something very, very near and dear to me.
Mike, what's kept you in it?
Honestly, I just never left it. It's, everybody always tells you it's the medicine game, and I think that's probably what it is. You get a stick in your hand, no matter if you're in a game or you're in a practice, or you're just in the backyard playing with your kids or shooting on a rebounder or net. It's just, once you get that stick in your hand, you just kind of forget about the world's problems, your problems, whatever the day had brought you, and you just focus on the game. And I think that right there is just the nice little escape, and playing a passionate, good game is I think what kept me in it.
In your own words, why coaching?
So I'm a little bit older now. Body's not keeping up like it used to. So I'm joking with the kids I'm coaching now that coach is putting on a little dad bod. But it's just, I've been around it since I was 14 years old. I grew up watching the Nighthawks with John Grant Jr., Tim Shadan, Zapper, Andrew Turner, all those guys. And started playing, and I played all the way up to pro and through college and high school and all that stuff, and played all over. And it's just a way to give back. And, I probably wouldn't have stayed with it as much as I have if it wasn't for those guys ahead of me that gave back to me and, really, took me and showed me the ways. And, without those guys, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near where I got to. And, it's just a way simply to give back and make sure that the next generation knows what this game's about, knows what it's the values of the game and the medicine in the game and all that stuff.
How about ownership? Why ownership?
So that came about a while back for the Bats. So I got 4 kids now. My last 2 were twins. When my first one was born, it was kind of hard for me to play summer ball and stay in like that minor league setting. So playing with the Rochester Bats, putting that team together, kind of gave me that availability to play in big tournaments like Laxney or anything of the sort, and keep guys that are having kids or have a job that it's hard to do seasons. I mean, you see it now still in the NLL where a lot of these guys they get some kind of a new career, and next thing you know they can't play in the league. So taking ownership of this team gets those guys to play still at a high competitive level. And then ever since then, like that team purely has just taken off. So that's been absolutely amazing and has led to a lot of good pathways and connections like Gary here and everything else. So great thing to own that team. Very proud to own that team as well.
Okay, I'm smiling here. Why not refereeing?
No.
No,
I've never been one of those guys that yell at refs real bad. And I love them. I respect them. Every game I coached and played against, I've always gone up to them and shook their hands and always told them thank you. Or, whether we had disagreements or not. And more so it's usually them pointing to me to go to the box. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, I don't know. To me, coaching is a lot more fulfilling. Not saying that refereeing is not. Just I think coaching is more importantly the way to go.
Yikes! I think Gary's internet had from time to time. Rogers isn't kind to him. He got
Yeah.
booted. He'll be back. I promise. He'll be back. You won't be
That's all
stuck with me. Let me ask you. Okay, so tell me. Here we
I'm
go.
back.
So Gary's back. I promised you'd be back. So thank you for allowing me to keep my word, Gary. I really
It's a
appreciate it.
Thursday, man. Any day that ends in Y, and the internet here goes absolutely schizoid.
Yeah.
So sorry about that, guys.
That's all right.
Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
All right. I want to bring back a couple of things. We're going to play a little bit of This Is Your Life, Mike. And, we've known each other quite a while. And I want to talk about when you were first getting in, you went to a Nighthawks game, probably your first game. And, hooked to this day, you met up with Drew Candy, but you met up with him through the glass. Let's talk about that story.
Yeah, so that was probably like the second or third game I've ever been to. And, just kind of being new to the box across world and watching the Nighthawks, like I didn't know too much what to expect, but I knew going to that game to watch the game, that it was going to be a crazy atmosphere. It was what I was explained. A lot of Buffalo fans and stuff like that, and the atmosphere would be electric. And I didn't know too much, like I said, so I made a sign about Mark Stainhouse. I forgot what the sign was, but typical, away team getting a sign against one of their players. And Stainer's unbelievable. What a great player that guy was. I wish we kind of know what's going on with him now, but unbelievable player. So I had the sign up on the boards on the Bandit side, kind of where we had season tickets. So we were just right where our seats were. And, not really paying attention. Out of nowhere, somebody jumps up on the glass, gives you a big scare. And, you get your attention and you turn around, it's Drew Candy. The next thing I know, this guy who I don't know at the time is sitting there just chirping me and doing what Drew Candy does. And, here I am all fired up at, I think I was 14 at the time. So I was 14, all fired up at this guy. Like, who's this guy I think he is coming into Rochester to do all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward years later, he and I are on the same team, and now he and I are pretty close. We talk to a lot. He actually gave me a signed game jersey to hang up in my son's room, and him and I are very close to this day. Yeah. Funny how that goes full circle.
One of the characters of the game for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now you played up in high school, and of course you're playing field. Obviously, it was competitive because it kept the fire burning. Let's talk about the initial times, and now you're in stick. It's one thing to have the stick and the ball. Now you're playing in a competitive atmosphere. What was that all about? Because you were a football guy, right?
Yeah, so it's just taking the physicality from football and putting it into lacrosse, and then just getting used to having a stick and a ball versus just your shoulders and your hands. And it took a little while to get there. I started my high school didn't have a team till my junior year, so I actually was going to leave and go to a private school, and they gave me a piece of paper, and they said if you go get X amount of signatures on this, we'll get a team going right away. So I did it, and I was able to start a team for the two. My town had 4 high schools, only 2 of them had lacrosse, so I was fortunate to get the other 2. So my school and the other school. The high school lacrosse team, and I started off playing long pole, which was another transition. New to the game, and then get a 6-foot pole, and I'm going out there. I don't know how many of those things I broke, but it was fun. It was good. Seeing the competitiveness was great, but starting to learn the actual rules of the game and playing in an actual game was really exciting.
Right now, with your first kick at it, and with coaching in there. How much of that really paid into where you are now?
So a lot of it did. So like I said, I started that team, or helped start that team for my school and the other school. Now I'm back in the same town. I live in that town. So I'm back in Greece, New York. Since I stopped playing pro, I took over the youth boys program for the town. That's kindergarten through 6th grade. At the time I took it over, they only had 20 kids. Now we're up to 60 just for winter. We have another 20, 30 that want to play in spring. So we're looking at potentially having 2 teams at each level, which is something unbelievable, and very thankful that, what I was given is, succeeding and being able to take care of that at the helm. On top of that, I worked with the boys lacrosse team a couple years back. I since stepped down last year. Just the hours unfortunately didn't gel, but it was, great, playing on that team and then being back to coach, it was something very special. But about a month ago, I was asked if, what my thoughts were about coaching the girls lacrosse team for the town. And, talking to the wife, because you got to run everything by the wife, especially when you have 4 kids. And she's like, absolutely. She goes, go do it. And I'm kind of stopped and I kind of looked at her and I'm like, what's your angle here? Like, what do you mean go for it? And she goes, you got 3 girls, your oldest 2. So our twins is a boy and a girl. That's where I get my boy, but the older 2 are girls. And she goes, they play lacrosse, and she goes, they're in the youth program, and she goes, and they need somewhere to go. And she goes, and if you don't take that program over, she goes, who takes it over? She goes, is it successful? Do they have somewhere to play in a few years? She goes, or is it somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and there's going to be a lot of issues? Or she goes, or you do it. And she goes, obviously you kind of have an idea of what you're doing and doing it right with the youth program. She goes, now you just got to go reverse, go to the high school and work it down. And so I jumped right in, and I'm pretty excited. So we start up. We got open practices for the town team starting this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited, very excited for that.
That's awesome. Good. That is awesome. And she's right. It's in great hands. So it's going to be there for years to come. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, even if you have to wheel you there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now let's just talk a bit about college. Where'd you go?
I went to GCC, Genesee Community College. I was only there for a short time. I won't tell my kids this. I wasn't a big school guy. So when I was there, my first our fall ball wasn't that good. Kind of had me questioning if I made the right move to go to that school. Not anything against the coaching or the school. Just some of the kids just didn't take it too seriously and rather hang out with their friends or go do things at the nighttime versus, attending practice and helping get the team to where it needed to be and ultimately put their studies in. And figured let's see what happens in the spring. And as the spring came around, there was only a few guys that were eligible to actually play, so we had to forfeit our entire spring season.
No.
And that put me in a crosshairs because I'm like, the only reason really why I went to school was to play this game. And I'm like, now I don't have nowhere to play. I'm like, what do I do? And thankfully, I had a few friends that played on a Can-Am team and brought me over to the Tonawanda Braves. And that's where I started playing box lacrosse. And from there, unfortunately, my college career kind of ended. I was kind of, once I hit that box, it's electric to play field, but once you hit that box, it's a whole nother level. And it's kind of like a high. And I was like, man, this is unbelievable. I love everything about this game. And once I knew I had something like that, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to be good doing this. And that's what I did. So I was done with school and I went on to playing in the Can-Am and working, and I loved it. I loved it.
Right. Well, I don't think you should not tell the story. I think you should tell the story because it proves that hard work will get you to where you're going.
Yeah.
Because instead of a kid going to a D1 school, if I don't get into D1, I can't do this. Like, of course you can. With the hard work and with a bit of passion in there, anything, sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, sometimes your path is to go one way, and sometimes you get that fork in the road, and it's not always a bad thing. And this ended up not being a bad thing. So I mean that's a good point.
Right. It opens up a huge section of your life, right? Because it introduces you into box, which is where your life is.
Yep.
And number 2, it gets you more focused to where you want to be, which brings me to where the Six Nations, you get them with Can-Am and you do Tonawanda, you start doing Six Nations, and now the awakening happens. Because now you're in the real place for the creators game, the real place for the medicine game. Let's talk about your time on the Six Nations reservation and playing there.
So I played on 2 different teams, both Senior B, one Can-Am, the other one in the OLA. The OLA came first. I had a lot of good friends that played on the Nighthawks that were like brothers of mine. And they said, listen, playing in the States is great. Playing in the Can-Am is great. but if you really want to develop in this game and we see the potential in you, you need to get up here. And at that time, this is, shortly after, getting out of college. I'm getting, I don't have a lot of money and stuff like that. They're like, no, don't worry about it. They're like, just get up here. We'll help you. You can stay with us and we'll figure out the rest of that stuff. Just get up here. And my first game, I'll never forget. We played up in Owen Sound. And I'm going to butcher the name of that arena, Harry Lumbar or something like that arena.
Yeah.
And, I drove from Rochester to 6 to catch the ride from 6 to Owen Sound. By the time we got to the building, I was a little tired. It was a little bit of a travel, but as soon as I got in there and got in that locker room, I was like, oh man, what's going on here? Like, did I overstep? And, that arena is, it's not huge, but it's big. And man, it was packed and the music was pumping and the guys were juiced and ready. And it just, it fed into my energy and everything like that. And absolutely unbelievable. I was, I hit that floor for the warm-ups and I'm like, man, this is great. Like, this is where I need to be. And the funny part was, everybody has, their first memory that they'll never forget. And mine was, we're just doing warm-ups and it was 2-on-1s and I was coming down to the net. And I don't remember half the guys are on the team now, but I went to take a shot on our net and my head wasn't fully attached to my shaft. So my head went with the ball behind the net. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. The brand new guy from Rochester just, lost his head in the first shot of the warm-ups. I'm like, here we go.
Oh boy.
And the guys laughed about it. And they're like, listen, they're like, if that's the worst thing that's going to happen to you, they're like, you're going to be all right up here. And from there, it just went. It was absolutely unbelievable. The rest of that game, playing against Ryan Benesh, Steve Dietrich was in the net. Playing against those guys at level, and the guys that were on my team just really, it made you feel like you're at home. You're where you needed to be, and that was huge. I'll never forget that.
It's probably a good thing that happened on the first little thing in the first game because good icebreaker, get that out of the way, and now you can relax and just be you.
Oh yeah, that's not my first warm-up issue. My second one was when we played a home game in Six Nations, and my wife came up and she was sitting in the stands, and I threw a warm-up shot right off. Where I just came right off the bench for the warm-up, grabbed the ball, ripped it at the net, just missed the pipe, and it bounced off the backboard and literally almost pinged her in the head. And she goes, "Man," she goes, "Who shot that ball?" And all the other wives were like, they're like, "That was your husband." She goes, "No way." She was like, "Yep, that couldn't be any more of a perfect spot to where you were sitting." So I almost took her out right away. But yeah, it was it's good stories. Good stories.
You can't make
Sure. When you're the one shooting the ball, it's a good story. I'm not sure it's such a good story for her, Mike.
No. Luckily, it was. If it would have hit her, it would have been a whole nother story. Maybe we wouldn't want to be together to this day. But
it wouldn't be a story you'd be talking about because you wouldn't be here.
No.
Well, obviously, it went well in Six Nations because you had a few kicks up as in the pros. Doing some stints. Let's talk about that and how that developed you as more as a person than as a player. We know it developed you as a player, but as a person, because the biggest thing I always talk about, especially with ALL nowadays, is it develops people on how to get to the pros and stay as a pro.
Yeah. So, doing a lot of that stuff, it teaches you how to be not just on the field, but off the field. Some of these younger guys today, like some of them don't get it. Like, something happens on the field, say you and I got in a fight, some of these guys don't know, like, once that final buzzer goes, like, you got to let it be. We had a lot of that, the camaraderie on the teams I played on and the teams we played against, everybody got done playing. And once everybody got done playing, next thing you know, you're at a bar and everybody's having a beer together and everybody's having a good time. And that's what the game's about. It's not about, carrying on any of that craziness from the floor. Once the final buzzer goes, everybody's done, everybody's equal. And, the next time the buzzer goes and you want to handle a little unfinished business, and that's fine. That's something different. But a lot of these guys, especially some of these guys with like the social media and stuff like that, it's like you gotta relax on some of your posts. But it helped to know where I had to go. Like you said, I didn't have anything long term. I had a couple big invites to the NLL that I still got the letters of that I never showed up to. And to this day, I still kick myself in the butt. Quite a few of them were for the Nighthawks. and I never went. And I just to me, I kick myself in the butt for it now. But at that time, I was like, I'm not ready for it. I don't want to be. At that time, they wanted me to go just to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a cousin that played in the NHL, fought, and after a little bit of just getting drafted in the NHL, he's like, you know what? He was all done. He quit. He goes, I don't want to fight. He goes, I want to go out there and play the floor and stuff like that. So to me, not going to those camps was me trying to get better. But now a little bit older, realizing like, man, I should have probably went to those camps, got my feet wet, understood what more I could have done to get better, and get my game better versus staying home and working, and then working on my game during the week. But for when I did make it, it was special. Being on the road, it was still tougher because I had kids, so constantly calling home to the wife and the kids and checking in on them. Every chance I could was special. I'll never forget. You got roommates sometimes, so you duck away to the bathroom to make the phone call because your kids are going to be a little crazy and screaming and shouting, and you got to be dad. So the tough side of you has got to come down a little bit for your kids. So you got to duck away a little bit to make those calls, but it was great. And getting the texts and the calls about how they watched and saw this or saw that, and able to bring home some game balls for my daughter, bring one home for my dad before he had passed away. It was pretty special. So taking all of that and knowing that I didn't have the easiest road to get there. Like I said, I didn't start until I was 14. I didn't have, I didn't really know anything about lacrosse until I was 14. But at that age, like here in the States, like we didn't really have any youth programs. We didn't have much before high school. We didn't have anything travel. We didn't have any box for youth. Now with doing that and being done at that level, it opened up all those doors for me. And, now I'm coaching, like I said, I'm running the boys youth program. I'm coaching the varsity girls program, starting this week. I've been coaching travel lacrosse or field on a couple of different teams. With the same program, I'm coaching. We started a youth box lacrosse league that starts this weekend. It'll be for 3rd and 4th graders and 5th and 6th graders. Something like that. That's never really been down here, and now it is. And I've heard a lot from some of these families that they're worried about putting their kids into the box because they see the Nighthawks and they see some of these games. I'm like, listen, take it from somebody that's played from 14 all the way up and all the way through. This is where they need to be if they want to play lacrosse. Like, this is going to develop their skills so much faster and get them so much better at field versus not doing it. And some of the families go, well, we're a little scared. He's a little nervous of taking the contact and stuff like that. And I'm like, and that's good. It's good that they have that, that worrisome, and deep down, like if you don't have those butterflies, then you need to go play another sport. I'm like, to this day when I play, I have butterflies. Like they don't go away. And like I said, when they do go away, then it's time for you to move on. And even at that age, I'm like, let them have it, get them in there. Once they get that first hit and once they give that first hit, they're going to be ready to go and they're going to be all set. But like you said, back to your original question, playing all these levels and playing all the way up through and doing the stints that I had, it's taking all that stuff, right? And it's bringing it back down to the youth levels and the high school levels and, teaching it. And to me, it was always more helpful to learn from a player, from somebody that played the game, and at a high level. And, so therefore, that's why I'm back and doing as much as I can. My plate's a little full. I do private lessons too on the weekend, so it's a little full. But I take pride and honor of giving back to all these teams, all these levels, all the boys, the girls, all the different positions, and all that stuff that I'm able to do. And very, very thankful for all of it. So everything I've done as far as a player, everything I'm doing now as a coach, I absolutely love it. I'm thankful that I've been able to do this. I'm thankful that I have the opportunities to do this. And I can't say anything more than that.
Right.
Obviously, I'm very thankful for my wife for letting me do this too, because if it wasn't for her, this would not be going on. So she's a star piece to this.
But because of the way you came up and all the different aspects and you had to go through.
Yeah. That's, like I said, it was not an easy road. It was tough navigating that road, but to get to where I got and now to give back, it's to me, it's a special story. Some people might be like, well, you didn't play pro for a full season, or you didn't play on a full team for so long. But to me, it was like, you know what? I'm an American kid that came from a city that never really had that. Now we're starting to see that more. But from then, like, we didn't really have that. So to even say that I made those games and I made those teams, and for those short stints that I was on, so to that, like, that's what hits me. And that's what, makes me feel good and able to give back to that. Oh, we lost him again.
Oh, yeah, we did. My goodness. So as far as when, like, we're talking a little bit about your history and how you find yourself here, and you touched on the fact that this is the creator's game. How does, specifically, if you don't mind, in your own words, what does the creator's game mean to you, and how does it motivate you?
So something that was, you play for those who can't play anymore. And you play for those who can't play. Or I'm sorry if I've said that wrong. Play for those who are no longer with us. You play for those who no longer can. And, there's quite a few people that I have near and dear to my heart that I write their names on my sticks, my tapes and stuff like that I play for them. And it's a way to carry on, their legacy, and carry on their souls and their support. And to me, that's what it is. You're taking something that was given to you by the creator. You're playing for those people, and you're just representing them. You're doing what you should be doing in the correct manner, and just representing the best you can, and not going out there and being somebody that box somebody's heads in the boards, and you go out there and you ram them through the boards and go, oh, look at that hit, I just crushed that guy. You just almost killed that guy. You don't need to do stuff like that. It's represent the game as it should be played. Represent for those who can be playing or can't be playing, and for those who no longer can play. Gary knows we just had the Rochester Bats won the Lax Championship for the second time this year. Our roster was full of a lot of good buddies of mine, a lot of NLL guys, and putting the roster together. It's always something special. Getting our uniforms all set up and getting them designed and stuff like that. It's always a very special event. But August 30th, a good friend of ours, my family's, they lost her daughter. She went to bed on the 29th. She never woke up. Girl was 9 years old. She was a few days short of her 10th birthday. Great friend to my daughters. She kind of really opened up my daughter. My daughter's kind of shy and has some issues that little girl helped bring out in her and helped her, know who she was. And, she never really had too many friends that was close to her and let her do what bring her out. And this little girl did. And their bond was, something great. We're thankful, actually, before they left, we saw them the night before she had passed away. We were able to hang out with them and spend some time with the kids, and it was great. But she, August 30th, I got the call. I'll never forget the call, that she never woke up. And little girls, like I said, she was 9, turning 10 in a few days, and was a great lacrosse player. 9 years old, great lacrosse player. Repeatedly played up. She was in 4th grade. Repeatedly played up on the team above her and did a great job. She did a phenomenal job. And, seeing her build chemistry with my daughter, who played for her first year this year, was something special. So it became my drive that not only were we going to play that tournament, but we were going to play for her. We're going to play for somebody that no longer could. And not only were we going to do that, we were going to win it. So it was kind of like all gas, no brakes. Let's get everybody that we need to do. Let's look good, and let's win it for her. And we didn't have our warm-up shirts made up yet. So, I made sure that we got some warm-up shirts made with her name on it. Her name was Gigi. The lacrosse number was 15. And I made sure that, the shirts had, in loving memory of Gigi with her number, little angel and the wings on it. And all the boys wore it before the games. And what was pretty special afterwards, after we won the championship, we're sitting there getting ready for our big team picture with the trophy. And I'll never forget Nate Grennan started yelling, "This one's for Gigi, go Gigi." And it's nice. So you get to see, friends that never met her, but they understood the concept of why we played for her and, how we finished doing it for her. So, and that was a game, before that championship game, everybody said, "Let's finish this for 1-5. Let's go." So, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, owning that team is very special, near and dear to me. But, when you get a bunch of guys that are like that and they get the reason why we play and why we play for the creator, like that's special to me.
In case you just joined us, we're with Michael Cooper, player, coach, and owner in lacrosse. And the question I asked, because Gary is away, I just want him to know the question I asked was basically, I wanted him to drill down on why the creator is so important to lacrosse and asked him his opinion. And then Gary goes away again. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we don't hurry up and ask a question.
I want to get to the growing pains of the Bats, though, because they didn't just come in and boom, here you are with 2 championships. In 2018, I think you guys came in, and you've built it ever since. And these have been some pretty great teams along the way. Some didn't quite do as well as you'd hoped, but you won in 22, you won in 24. You should have been in there in 23, I think, with a couple of bounces the other way. But even 2000, I think 19. Is when you first you let everybody know that you're going to be a force.
Yeah. So like I said, I started this 2018, a couple weeks before Laxney, and I reached out to Scott Nice, and I said, "Hey Scott, I'm like, we're going to put the Bats in. I don't know how the team's going to look, but just made this team. We're going to throw them in. We're going to get them ready because at that time." Laxney was really starting to take off. So if you didn't have an invite and you didn't get your team in there, you pretty much were. It started after that. It was invite. It was you had to previously play and it was invite only. And so I jumped right in there. Brought a bunch of guys that I played with throughout my career. Playing Seneca Nation, playing in Tonawanda, playing up in Ontario, playing throughout New York. And we went. I think we went 3-3. So we didn't do terrible, but we went 3-3. Finished. I think we finished. I don't know, 20 something. It wasn't good. It wasn't that pretty. I think 27 out of 32 teams. So 3-3 went finished 27, and I knew going into that tournament that the team wasn't going to finish like we had hoped for or wanted to, but we knew that we what we had at our hands, and from there. Started reaching out to a bunch of my buddies that played in the NLL. The ALL was starting to come up, so started talking to some of those guys that I'm good friends with, and they started hopping on. And the next thing you know, that was 2018. We get back to 2019, and you got Triolo coming, you got Armstrong, Colton Army in there, Adam Peroni's in there, Big Joe Watson's in the net, and that was it. That's where everything just kind of. I think it was that tournament, to be honest with you, that kind of flipped that switch. And our Friday night game, we played against Onondaga. So the home team, that's when Laxney was being played in Onondaga. We lost that game 3-2, and that's kind of what bounced us out of the championship. We ended up finishing 7th. But that was from that moment on that everybody kind of knew, okay, we're gonna make this a go. And then obviously, things were shut down 2020, 2021, and then 2022 it finally came back. But between those 2 years, we played in tournaments as we can get in there. So we played in Delaware, we played in Maryland, we played in Philadelphia, and took home the hardware. And I think just bought every one of those. 1 or 2 we might have finished second. But took home the hardware, and the boys worked hard, and they had a great time. And they were jonesing to get out there to play lacrosse, because at that time with COVID, nobody was having lacrosse. Lacrosse was nowhere to be found. So the boys wanted to get in wherever they can get in, and we went down and they did their thing, and we took home the hardware, and then everybody had a good time. Then Laxney came back for 2022, and just unbelievable roster again with the guys. John Lentz, Eric Turner, Tyson Bell, Watson was back in that. All those guys, Chase Scanlon and all those guys, and it's just unbelievable team. And we took that one over Gold Star, Tel Aviv, I think by a goal or two. Actually, you know what? It was by a goal because Joel made a big save at the end. I don't know how much time was left, but there wasn't much. It was less than 30 seconds. And Tyson Bell got the rebound, threw it up to Chase, and Chase went all the way down coast to coast with the ball and put it in over Jackson Hayner. It was Jackson Hayner that was in net for them. And funny story is Jackson came to play with us a couple months later. And he goes, "It's funny, I was so mad at you and your team for getting that goal and winning the championship." He goes, "Now here I am wearing the jersey." He goes, "It's funny how it goes full circle." And I'm like, "Well, that's the best part of this game is you never know, what team you're going to be on, who you're going to play with, or how that's going to come around." So that was great. I loved it. But 2022 had a great team. 23 had another good team. It was very good. Taylor Jensen jumped in with us. Alex Q jumped in. Andrew Q's brother. We had a really, really good team. Hunter Lemieux, Riley Hutchcraft was in net. Will Johnston came in to be in net. And just like you said, a few bounces just didn't go our way, and we ended up finishing fifth, losing out to USA won it. But it's funny. We played USA. We played both teams. We beat one. We lost the other one. And the boys said, they're like, "Man, if we would have played a full 60-minute game, you would have smoked us." So, but
30-minute
actually sometimes has those short games, so you learn a little bit. But so we know we had a little fire in us this year to get back and take home that championship, regain it. So it was nice to finally get that and bring it back home.
Now you host the Bats Invitational every year as well over Rochester, giving a lot of people a chance to watch Nighthawks games for cheaper, plus watching your games, which is great, always entertaining. I love going to it. I'm going to go this year, April 5th, I believe it is.
Yes, Saturday, April 5th.
This will be the fourth one.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about that because, boy, oh boy, it's a lot of fun, great games, and also autograph sessions with the guys and a whole lot of giving back to the community.
Oh, yeah. That's always my biggest thing is you always give back. So every time the boys are out there, I'm always like this, and we're going to do autographs after the game, whether we win or lose. We always do autographs. There's always kids in the stands. You always got to make sure that, you send them home with an autograph, take a picture with them. I'm like, it means the world to them. I'm like, we were all little kids at one point, and we know what was great for us. We're like, so I'm like, after these games, we take care of that. And nobody ever argues that. Everybody's, that's how everybody is. And that's how everybody should be. Is, you give back with autographs, pictures, whatever you can do. And, but yeah, it's been a great thing. So that kind of started, so like you said, that started 4 years back. It started off as just like a bats and intra squad scrimmage. We got a bunch of guys and played whites versus purples. And then from there, it just turned into the Bats Invitational, where, a team would reach out and we'd take them and we'd go from there. And, we've had several leagues reach out and ask me to put a team in for the league. And, it's tough to do that. And it's a lot of work. And, with everything you have going on, and then you add in a full-time job with kids, yada, yada, yada. It's just tough. So I'm like, this is a way where we can play in Rochester. We can play at the Blue Cross Arena. Everybody can come down and see us. Our games are free. I will, I don't see charging ever for them. It's just so I want people to come down and see the team. The way to get in is to have a Nighthawks ticket for that night's game. So we usually get a big discount price for that game. So you get to see two games for one. And like Gary said, we get to go out there and, have autographs and pictures afterwards. But it's been great, doing that and getting the boys together. And the crowds have been getting bigger and bigger, which is awesome. They opened up concessions finally this year. And they actually told me that they did a good amount. So, going to the Blue Cross and getting some fans in those stands is pretty good. But to get enough where concessions are open and they're doing pretty good, that's pretty special. So,
Yes.
we don't know who we're playing yet this year. I haven't gotten that far yet. But it's every year it's bigger and better, and that's how they know it too. So we'll see what happens this year. But yeah, it's definitely something special to give back to, especially to my community.
Yeah, no, we've talked about this in the past about the Rubeski tournament, and I know the kids are still young, but as they're getting older, it's going to get a little easier for you to get away for that week and do Prague. Since it's already in the same form as Laxny, is this a because I can't wait to see the Rochester Bats against the Bratislava Bats. You know that.
Yeah.
So is this doable? You think?
It'll definitely be doable, and it'll be doable at some point. Honestly, now it's up to my coaching too, because I mean, I haven't stopped I'm almost full year in, haven't stopped, which is great. I'm no complaints on that. So I just find a year where the kids are a little bit older, a little bit easier for the wife to deal with for a few days, and where I can get over there and bring the team over there and do that. And the boys would definitely love to go over there. Some of them have already been over there, so to get them over there, that's not a problem. Getting the team over there is not a problem. It's just finding the right time to get over there to do it. But yeah, it's definitely in the books that to happen. Just hopefully in the next 2-3 years, I would say.
Right, because I'd love to have a secondary team. Being out there with the Gales already, I'd love to have a secondary team to be working with.
We'll have to fight those guys out for some of the players, because I know Tommy plays with them too, but he plays with the Bats, so we'll have to see about that. And Peroni's playing the Gales too, so I don't know. I might have to do some kind of arm wrestling matches to get who's going to get what guys, but we'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Now, just while we have about I guess 6 or 7 minutes, I want to get your takes on the NLL and lacrosse in general, just because you're so close to the game still and so close to the players. Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, the State of the Union for the NLL compared to where it was. How do you figure it's at and where it's headed?
It's tough. Obviously, like you said, I have a lot of friends and close ones that are in the league, and a lot of them are sitting home right now. They either got cut late in camps or they just got released recently.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it has to do with the Panther City no longer being there.
Yeah.
And so on one hand, the teams that are there, you got really, really good, strong teams because you got some good players. But on the other hand, you got so many guys that are very, very good, very talented that are just sitting on a shelf right now. So it's kind of hard to, I guess it's hard to answer that question, right? So the league looks good. They definitely need to have another team. I mean, honestly, they need another 2 teams. The amount of competition that's out there and that are on the shelf can easily fill 2 more teams. You just got to find those home bases. But as far as what it is right now, currently, this should be a good season. These teams are pretty stacked up and pretty loaded. So to see who goes where and how it plays out, it'll be interesting. Nighthawks looked pretty good from I didn't go to the game, but saw some of it from last week, and Buffalo's coming to town this weekend. So that'll be a good matchup right there to watch and see how that goes. But it'll be an exciting year to see where these teams finish and how these guys do, and maybe see who gets put back up or called back up from being on the shelf too. So
right. Yeah, injury bug happens and all the rest of that. I got a feeling the ALL is going to be the best it's ever been this year. Because the guys got to keep the sticks in their hands, right?
Oh yeah, they got to. They absolutely have to. So I mean, you can either stay at home and train at home, and that's not bad. Like that'll get you good. But playing in the ALL is definitely where you're gonna get better. You just gotta be a little careful because you're gonna get some guys that are gonna want to make a little bit of a name of themselves and like grease you a little bit. So you got to have the head on the swivel. But yeah, that should be some good games for sure.
Absolutely. Now, the World Lacrosse tournament just passed a couple months back. What are your thoughts about the men's and the women's games? The women stole the show in that thing, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't turn it off. I simply could not turn it off. Those games were phenomenal. And I want to say the best part about it was seeing that Oneida arena in use that they just put together. Yeah. And what a beautiful arena that place is. Seeing that go there was great, but the competition was fantastic, the men's and the women's, and yeah, I couldn't turn it off. That was just great. It was great all the way around. See USA come in second was pretty good. They haven't done that yet, so to play second was pretty good, and it speaks to where US hopefully is and where it's going to from here on out with like I said earlier, growing these kids from a young age in the box and the fields and giving them all these opportunities that they're given now. And hopefully that keeps getting them better. And maybe one day, soon enough, they'll get that goal.
Right. Now, I had Aaron Bakes and Emily Howardchuk from the US team on, and they were talking about the programs and everything like that. It sounds like U.S. Box has got it more together than the Canadian lacrosse associations here. So
Yeah,
sky's the
they
limit,
could.
really.
They could. I don't know what the Canadians do, but I know the U.S. seems to be they're getting them involved in a lot of stuff, and they're getting them going. It seems about quite a few times a year versus just getting them ready for that run that year. So that's good. That's what they
That
need to be
alone
doing.
volumes, because when I had the Canadian women on, I had Dana Doby and Megan Kinna, and they the one thing that was alarming was the first practice that they had was 2 days before the tournament started. That's
Yeah,
the Canadian program. That's
yeah,
alarming.
that's crazy. I mean, but that's when you're taking, you got players that have a lot of talent, and you're hoping that the talent alone is going to win it, and that doesn't
Not
always
all.
happen. It doesn't always happen that way. So you got to put the chemistry on the team and get into practice and see how it goes. I mean, a lot of people say, the bats have a lot of talent, a lot of NLL guys. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't always mean that we're going to win.
Yeah.
It's finding the right group that's going to mesh and gel and
And
be able to not be selfish and be able to do what they can do. And that's what all these teams need to have is make sure that you have that chemistry. But more importantly, you can't start 2 days before a tournament like that. Not
Absolutely.
Worlds.
Now, Olympics are coming up in a couple of years, and the big push and everything like that. Your thoughts on sixes?
Honestly, I'm still kind of confused to the whole thing. It kind of seems like box on field.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just
You got a lot of countries that don't have hockey arenas, though, right? So you got to get them included, and everybody starts from scratch with a new idea.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't watched a whole lot of sixes, so I can't say too much about it. But a lot of guys say you don't fix what's not broken, and guys, the 10, the regular field rules and the regular field sizes, 10 on 10 is what guys like, and from what I hear, the women like that the way it is too. So to change it from 10 to 6 is a little different. And the only other thing I could think about that I don't like is, with the 6s versus the 10s, like how many players don't make that roster now because only 6 are on the field at a time versus 10. And that part stinks. You want to have as many good players as you can out there and showboat in your country. So going from 10 to 6, I think kind of stinks. But you know what? Your foot's in the door. So take it what you can with the Olympics, and as long as we don't end up like the what was that dancing group? The break dance. As long as we don't end up like that, we'll be all right. And we got to make sure the guy that jumped on the field at the Nighthawks game, he's not around either, because we can't have that on there.
No, we can't have any of that stuff going on.
So
in LA, they'll probably shoot him.
Yeah, they might. They might. So
well, we only got a couple of minutes left, so I just want you to promote some of your programs before we get off the air.
All right, I appreciate that. So coaching for 3D Upstate. That's my travel team for field and box. We're the Westerns. A lot of the 3D boys are on the Westerns. That's our travel box program. We'll be playing down in Philadelphia mid-January and mid-February. That'll be a 2030, 2029 graduation years with one team. 2030, 2029. So then the other one's 2028, 2027 is the other team that we'll have down there representing. So those programs are doing great. I work a lot with Craig Lipiani. He used to coach on at IMG. It's been all around. Great guy. Him and I have been working. We're on the phone probably 10 times a day, more than I talk to my wife. So hopefully she doesn't listen to this part. But two guys that have passion for sports. We're doing as much as we can with it, and thankful for that. Grease Storms, where I'm at for the youth program for the boys and the girls varsity team. Very thankful for all that stuff, and then all my private coaching. We got something exciting coming up in January through March this year. We're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna work with Adam Terry. Used to play in the NFL. Used to be a lineman for the Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars, I think the Indianapolis Colts. He owns Powertrain Fitness down here in Rochester. He has 2 locations down here. Him and I linked up. We're going to do 8 offensive sessions with me. So it's 4th through 8th grade boys is one group, high school boys is the second group, and then high school girls is the third group. They'll train with me for an hour offensively, very, very fast paced. And as soon as they're done with me and they're tired and they're catching their breath, I got to hurry up and go to the other side of the of the arena over to Powertrain and work with Adam, and he'll be working on their strength and conditioning and all that stuff. So very excited about that. That's going to be next level. To see a lot of the boys, especially a lot of the Americans, do that. That's what's going to really help them develop this game. So, and develop and level up their game is going to be great.
Excellent. Mike, I really want to thank you for taking the time with us and spending the last hour with us talking about everything from yesteryear, including everything up into right now. So thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again for having me on, and nice to meet you, Frank.
Nice.
Gary, nice to have you on for longer than 5 minutes, I would say.
Yeah. Well, hey, looking forward to seeing you in person again. If Mother Nature doesn't get in the way, I should be up there very soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Michael, thank you for doing this, and my condolences for the young child that you lost, your friends. It's nice that you did something for them. It is about lacrosse, and lacrosse is about family. The creator and family are things that keep repeating itself in lacrosse. So thanks for what you do.
Absolutely. And we will be doing a tournament in her name coming up in May. It'll be youth for now. It'll looking like boys and girls. She had a twin brother who I coach. He's obviously in lacrosse as well. And so we're going to do a tournament for her in the spring in May, like I had said, and hold it in her name. And it's going to be very special. Their mom and dad are doing pretty good. Little brother's doing pretty good too. They created a foundation for her. Giselle Delorme Foundation, I believe is what it's called. I could be wrong. And she's very big into gymnastics. So they got something going special for gymnastics. I know they're doing a bowling event. They're doing a golfing event, and then we got the lacrosse event going as well. So everything we can do to keep her name out there and share her story. And the mom and dad are, want to make sure that people know as well, unfortunately this happens. And, if it happens again, unfortunately it's going to happen. And, people have somebody else to reach out to. They have other avenues to call that, sit at home and put your head down and sit in the dark. Cause that's not going to get anywhere. And it's, that could end up to a very scary, conclusion in that. So having people that have been through it and are, readily available to open up and, help out is pretty special. And, they're absolutely great family. She was absolutely an amazing, young little girl. And, we miss her, they miss her, and us, doing something special is just going to be, really great for them and for everybody involved.
Keep us in the loop when stuff is going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, for Michael Cooper, and of course, Gary Groob, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching NLL Lacrosse Talk. Seen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For lacrosse talk, news, entertainment, and other sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody.
See you guys.